Good morning. Our opening words are from Xana Keithley. I would rather fail fantastically at doing something than fail quietly because I never did anything. I would rather fail while being brave than fail at being brave. And maybe I'll make 1,000 mistakes that I'll one day laugh at and learn from, but at least I'm out here trying. At least I'm in the game. Because I know if I was sitting on the sidelines, I'd spend my whole life desperately wishing I was on the field. And I'd regret being so afraid of failure that I never gave myself a chance to succeed. I'd regret never reaching the edges of my limits so I could try to push them just a little bit further. I'd regret not exploring all of the incredible potential inside me. And more than anything, I'd regret not giving my life all that I have. So maybe it won't work out the way I want, but I know that no matter what, no matter where this path takes me, I'll find my way. Because I trust my judgment, I trust my resilience, I trust my strength. And I trust that no matter what happens, I'll be okay.
For our chalice lighting this morning, I've asked Jonathan Gibson to light the chalice, and I will read the words, and then you can echo them line by line, if you would, please. Spark of the Spirit, cupped in earth's embrace, light of love, alive in all creation, as we kindle this flame, we rekindle our connection to the sacred web of life. Welcome, one and all. I'm glad that you have joined in worship today with First Unitarian Church. I'm Douglas Lee Regier, worship coordinator for today's service. I'm pleased to announce that our speaker and inspirational leader today is Melissa Gibson, who had the opening words. She is our relatively new membership coordinator, and it just so happens that Jonathan is her spouse. Well, it doesn't just so happen, it happens by accident. Goodness sakes. Foot and mouth. A special welcome to visitors. I also wanted to say that the music today, performed by Judy Unger, our summer music director, along with Maria Harding from the Omaha Symphony on the flute. A special welcome to visitors, whether you are joining us online or in person, whether you are a visitor or longtime member, we are glad to have you with us. Our community is a rainbow of gender and sexual identities. It's a community of diverse cultural and class backgrounds. We draw from many sources of inspiration and share common liberal religious values. Each week, we acknowledge that where we meet for worship as the First Unitarian Church of Omaha is the land of the Omaha Oto nations, and that indigenous people in our greater community have become marginalized and made invisible. May we recognize their presence among us and work with them to resolve the issues of poverty, displaced children, and murdered and missing indigenous women. Time for All Ages with Christina Strong, our Lifespan Director of Religious Education. Do I need to tell her?
I know she went to go wrangle children.
Okay. Waiting.
Which could take a while.
I believe me, I know it can take a while. Why don't we move to Joys and Concerns, and here she is. Okay. Christina Strong, Director of Lifespan, Director of Religious Education.
Can I take this? Oh, there we go. All right. So today we are having our backpack blessing that was rescheduled from last Sunday. And so whether you brought a backpack or not, if you are a student, will you please come forward for our backpack blessing? And I'm not sure if this is on downstairs, but if anybody's down there and they want to come up for our backpack blessing, and those of you at home, you could grab your backpacks if you want to. Great, I see we have a couple of backpacks that came today. All right, you guys can go ahead and have a seat. And if you don't have your backpack with you, you can just think about it, picture it. All right. So I'm going to invite you to hold your backpack in your lap or your hands, or maybe just in your thoughts. And of course, by backpack, I mean your backpack, gym bag, dance bag, lunchbox, diaper bag, briefcase, purse, knitting bag, cell phone, keychain, with all its keys to transportation and shelter, because this ritual is not just for those who carry backpacks, but for each and every one of us. And I'd like to send my appreciation to Kathy Smith, Ashley Fuson, and Reverend Nell Newton, who shared words that I've put together for us today. All right, so do you all have your backpacks in your hands or in your minds? All right. Now I'd like the congregation to please repeat after me these words of affirmation and blessing. May these containers be useful to you as you start the new year. May your homework always be finished on time. May your permission notes always be signed the night before. May your textbooks not fall into a mud puddle. May your favorite pencil or pen or crayon or marker always be easy to find. And also your keys. That was a spontaneous addition for me. When you don't understand, may you have the courage to ask. And finally, may you always know that we love you. Okay, and now I have some words for our students. You don't need to repeat these after me, just listen, and then at the end, if you agree, you can say, we will. Even when you go away from First Unitarian, you carry our love and support wherever you go. May you feel curiosity in all your days. May your imagination catch fire. May you find courage when you need it. May you be kind and caring to those around you and they towards you. May you feel heard and seen, and may you hear and see others. May you make space and time for those who struggle to be heard and seen. As a church family, we are made stronger when you and you and you and you at home and downstairs share with us what you learn. We ask you to bring what you learn of the world back to this place to share with us. If you agree, say, we will. All right. When we leave today, having blessed our backpacks or other things that carry the everydayness of our lives in them, we may think that we are going out there on our own to school or work or wherever we're heading, but we're not. One of the blessings of being part of a church community is that we are reminded that we are not alone. We are reminded that we are connected to so many people and that we are surrounded by love. And now, if the children and youth want to join me, we are going to go make some decorations for our backpacks to help us remember that we take this community with us. And we are actually going to be meeting in the upstairs classroom. It's a bit of a change of plans because I realized we're using permanent markers. So if you want to join me, we'll head there. And if you're downstairs listening, you can come upstairs to I'm going to start calling that one the art classroom. It's a great art classroom. And I'll see you there.
All right, I think that's our first joy, is to wish all those going back to school best of luck, best of skill, good studying. I should also mention that some may be going back, may be continuing in school, online or whatever, such as our membership coordinator, Melissa, who's still in her program at Star King Unitarian Seminary, I should say. So anyhow, thank you. For joys and concerns, I'm going to ask Colin to read out any that he has. I want to mention at the outset that I have an appreciation for the caring team who keep us abreast of how folks in the congregation are doing. Thank you to all of you who work on that.
So far, we have one. It's an announcement from Linda Parker saying, please see a flyers in the entry for an announcement about the October 6th Atheist, Humanists, and Agnostics on Climate Change. And what we're going to do here, see if there's anything that comes into the chat on YouTube, and then if anybody has any joys or concerns they want to shout from the floor, I've got a mic here. So, G. Unger.
For the teachers in Texas who are being censored on what they can teach.
Thank you. Anybody else have anything you want to shout out? Way back.
Hi, I want to thank Stan for all the hard work that he's put in towards the music program that's been going on here for so long. I'm grateful that he did everything that he did and just, found a clean break. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Here's one up here.
Hey, thank you. My name's Jonathan. I have a joy/concern. Joy watching your children grow up. My daughter, who's 10, had her second sleepover this weekend, and she didn't call or worry about us at all. And so I'm concerned from that, but joyful that she's growing up.
Right. Thank you. Anybody else here? All right. Thank you. I don't see anything in the chat here, so
Yeah, thank you.
let's go.
Okay. And I believe Judy is going to announce the musical interlude.
By the composer Marc Bartholomew, and quatre mouvements for flute and piano, and we just finished the larghetto, and now we're going on the
ask Elaine to come up to share in the reading. I just want to mention, hearing this beautiful music, we have been informed that Pat will be back at the organ in the first Sunday in October, so we look forward to that as well. The reading is by Helen Casara, DRE-UU of Director of Religious Education, the UU in Tallahassee, and a friend of Melissa Gibson, our speaker. And I'm going to find my copy here. Aha, okay. And I'll read a part, and then Elaine will read the rest. Most of us are familiar with 1 Corinthians 13, 4-8. I want to repeat the King James Version, but I'll stick with what Melissa has gotten from a more modern translation. It's quite popular at weddings. Love is patient. Love is kind. It does not envy. It does not boast. It is not proud. It does not dishonor others. It is not self-seeking. It is not easily angered. It keeps no record of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always perseveres.
As Unitarian Universalists, we can lean into our fourth principle, where we're free and even encouraged to dig deeper and extrapolate meanings from things like Bible verses for ourselves. So I'll read the verse again, but this time translated with some UU action phrases. So instead of love is patient, love is practicing patience for ourselves and for others. Instead of love is kind, love is choosing kindness over niceness and courage over comfort. It does not envy, it does not boast, and it is not proud. Love is praying and striving for the best for all of humanity. Love is practicing gratitude and humility. It does not dishonor others. It is not self-seeking. It is not easily angered. It keeps no record of wrongs. Love is making room for everyone's humanity. Love is understanding that we and everyone else are doing our best. Love is committing to trying again when we fail. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. Love is choosing to strive for justice, even when it feels impossible, lonely, or terrifying. It always protects. Love is protecting the vulnerable among us. Love is trusting that we will be protected when we are vulnerable. Love always trusts, always hopes, always perseveres. Love is never giving up on the belief that things can be better and that we can be the ones to make it so. Love keeps us going somehow, and love never fails.
Thank you, Elaine. For our first hymn, we're going to just do humming. We're still under the COVID guideline of only doing one song. I understand that it's about to change. But for today, we'll do humming. It's on page 346 if you want to find it in your hymnal. And I'll read out some of the words just to remind you what's in it. It's come sing a song with me. Come sing a song with me. Repeat that a few times. And then it says, and I'll bring you hope when hope is hard to find. And I'll bring you a song of love and a rose in the winter time. And then the next verse, come dream a dream with me. And then come walk in rain with me. Come share a rose with me. And we'll just hum along. Now time for our offertory. Judy and Maria will be playing music during this time, but first I want to announce. Actually, let me back up for just a minute. It says on my script that it's time for meditation. Ushers, you can go ahead and sit down again. Okay. For the meditation this morning, I want to do something a little different. We always talk about how to still the mind. Well, I find that quite impossible, actually. The mind is always going. So in today's meditation, I'm going to ask that you just watch the thoughts in your mind for a few minutes, and then I'm going to give you a special instruction if you care to participate. If you don't, you can solve a math problem or figure out a recipe or do something else. Okay, so if you would find that comfortable place in the pew or in your chair or standing, where you sink in to the seat, to the floor. Allow your spine to be fairly erect, your head to be drawn up, and eyes closed if you wish, and those nice deep breaths. Take a few breaths, all the way in and all the way out. Just a few rounds of just breathing. Watching those thoughts go by, and just asking them very gently and kindly, if you wish, to just step aside, to just take a little respite, just for a couple minutes, and to let the mind be as free as it possibly can. And then in your mind's eye, I would like you to see somebody who needs some help from you, some help from the universe. It might be someone who is sick, not with us, not here today, elsewhere. It might be a friend or a family member, a loved one. It might be a member of the church that you've been thinking about or that you've been reminded about by the caring team. And just hold that person in your mind and just sending good vibrations, good thoughts. Hold that person in your mind for just a few minutes, for just a couple of minutes. I'll ring the bell when we're finished. Each month, 1/2 of the loose currency in the offering plates is donated to a cause with a local presence which advances important principles of Unitarian Universalism. Our Share the Plate recipient for August is the Whitney Young Academy, which empowers youth through education and career preparation through academic, personal, and social development, assisting with goal setting and grooming future leaders. You can learn more about this by going to the Urban League of urbanleague.neb.org and go to Education Whitney Young Academy. Isn't that lovely to have such nice music, such good music, well performed? Well, I'll introduce Melissa again. Many of you know her. She's been very active since she's been with us. She'll say when she came, I forgot exactly, but this year. She moved to Omaha from Shreveport, Louisiana, where she was a member of All Souls Unitarian Universalist Church. There she served many volunteer roles, including board treasurer, fundraiser, to get that, fundraising committee chair, religious education teacher, and more. Melissa is currently a student at Star King School for the Ministry, a Unitarian Universalist seminary based in Oakland, California. She is about halfway toward completing her Master of Divinity and Master of Art in Social Change. Melissa, thank you.
Thank you, Douglas. So, good morning. My name is Melissa Gibson, and I am the membership coordinator for First Unitarian. I started here in May, so about 3 months ago. And while I'm still putting together some names and faces, extra challenging with the mask, and learning the quirky nooks and crannies, of which there are many, of the church building, I found First Unitarian to be a welcoming space for my work and ideas. My family moved to Omaha in June 2019. My spouse is in the Air Force and works at Offutt. When we first got here, we dedicated a lot of time to working on our home out in West Omaha, and by the time the renovations settled down, COVID hit. So while I've been here for more than 3 years, I still feel pretty new to Omaha in a lot of ways. I'm still easily confused with directions, and I still don't quite understand the obsession with Runza. Sorry. As we all know, it's been a rather unconventional 2.5 years. On the one hand, we're waiting for that old normal to return, but on the other hand, we're adjusting and living with the uncertainty that COVID has brought upon us. When I get frustrated with precautions, with canceled plans, with illness and hopelessness, I recall these words by Sonia Renee Taylor. We will not go back to normal. Normal never was. Our pre-corona existence was never normal, other than we normalized greed, inequity, exhaustion, depletion, extraction, disconnection, confusion, rage, hoarding, and hate and lack. We should not long to return, my friends. We are being given the opportunity to stitch a new garment, one that fits all of humanity and nature. Taylor is a best-selling author and an activist for racial justice and body acceptance. She has opened my heart, and I find her work to be transformative. She seems so often to have the words when I do not. As Douglas mentioned in my introduction, I am currently a student at Star King School for the Ministry. It is a low residency program, and right now, thanks to COVID, it's actually a no residency program. I got to do my orientation in person in January 2020, but I haven't been back to their Oakland, California campus since. My classes have been strictly online. I have a lot of internet friends and classmates. I spend more time than I'd like on Zoom and in online classroom forums. The flexibility can be a good thing, but it can also be a bit lonely at times. I think those in this church have had similar experiences these last few years. Sundays just aren't like they used to be. We develop new habits, new patterns. It feels like we really have to make more of an effort to connect. And do we even remember how to meet new people in person anymore? I mean, I'm the membership coordinator, and I have these feelings and concerns. But if my classmates, most of whom I only know through a computer screen, have taught me anything, it's that we can do this. We can connect. We can be online or be masked in person. We can feel awkward about it, and we can admit that. We can feel lonely and isolated, and we can reach out. The love is there. The love is here. The effort is worth it. I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't tell you that we want you here. Come back to church. But beyond my staff position, I really do mean it. After several years of skipping church, both in person and online, being here at First Unitarian most Sundays for the last 3 months has made a world of difference in my daily life. Even if my school experience remains exclusively online, having this physical space to share feels like a really good consolation prize. At school, I am pursuing a Master of Divinity and a Master of Art and Social Change. I am almost halfway through my degrees. I'm on what I like to call a 6 or 7 or maybe an 8-year plan. We know the old Yiddish saying, we plan, God laughs. The universe puts us on another course sometimes, whether we like it or not. COVID changed things, some family obligations changed things, so I'm content to just take my time and soak up as much knowledge and experiences as I can in my classes, from my mentors, and through my work here. Graduation, I'll worry about that later. Please don't ask me about it. I don't know. What prompted me to go to seminary is a medley of traditional and unconventional paths. I didn't grow up particularly religious. I've adopted the term culturally Christian, but we didn't talk about it. I remember my mother being appalled the first time I used the Lord's name in vain, something my dad did all the time. I went to Wednesday night church classes with a friend's family, and while it was fun enough, I still had a lot of questions that no one seemed too eager to answer. My interest faded, and it stayed that way till I had my own kids. But at the time, we were in North Texas, where nothing is liberal, including religion. I did a few activities to be social and tried a few services, but I still had a lot of questions that weren't being answered with Bible studies at the Assembly of God Church or the Mothers Group at the Baptist Church. But I enjoyed the free childcare and adult socialization. Finally, the Air Force took us to Shreveport, Louisiana, where I found my home, All Souls Unitarian Universalist Church. There I held a variety of positions. I did the church board, religious education, a lot of fundraising, like a lot of fundraising. There were even times I cleaned the bathrooms and repaired tile in the foyer with my husband. Any way that I could be of service, I tried to show up, and it was a lot, and sometimes it was too much. I know some of you out there know that feeling all too well. Know that I see you, I appreciate you, and you can always tell me to buzz off. I won't take it personally. Through all my work, though, I got to stretch myself in a lot of ways, including leading a few services. And I found that I actually really liked delivering sermons. I was thrilled when Mary Kay and the worship committee at First Unitarian invited me as a guest speaker. Please tell my children there are people in the world who actually like to listen to me. In addition to All Souls, I did a service at the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship in Longview, Texas, and a workshop on the Equal Rights Amendment at the Southwestern Unitarian Universalist Women's Conference in Dallas. Lay leadership was pretty great, but I knew if I wanted to do more and continue to grow, that I needed to advance my education. I wasn't thrilled to be moving to Omaha. We got 9 years in Shreveport, and it really felt like home. But the move also provided me with an opportunity to pursue seminary. The timing was right. But before I moved here, while I was still in Shreveport, I volunteered as a patient escort at the local abortion clinic, Hope Medical Group. For those of you unfamiliar with clinic escorts, I would walk with patients from their vehicles to the clinic door. I'd introduce myself, offer a smile, and if protesters are out, I'd advise them that they had no obligation to look at, let alone speak to, the crazy people on the sidewalk. Increasingly, the escorts began using umbrellas to shield the patients from the protesters, who would take video and photos of them and post them online. We had to advise people to park backwards to try and avoid their plates being posted on the internet. Keep in mind, this was a privately owned parking lot, and what the protesters were doing was perfectly legal. Was it moral? I'd say no. Would Jesus do it? I'd also say no. But they assured me that their interpretation of the Bible said that they were doing the right things. The protesters screamed a lot. When I first moved to Shreveport, you'd usually see older folks pacing the public sidewalk outside the clinic, sliding their rosaries between their fingers and praying quietly. They were pretty unobtrusive and didn't often try to engage patients. But by the time I started volunteering, those quiet, older, solo protesters were replaced with a large group of self-proclaimed evangelical anti-abortion activists. They were overwhelmingly men, middle-aged and younger. There were often plenty of teenage males, people who know a lot about parenting. And even families with little kids picnicking on the sidewalk in 100+ degree Louisiana heat. They screamed so-called prayers. They screamed at patients. They screamed at me and other volunteers. They screamed at staff who walked outside for a break. They were so loud that the clinic ran a white noise machine in the waiting room, and you could still hear them. They used megaphones. Thankfully, electronically amplified sound is not allowed in public areas without a permit in Shreveport, so that was a small blessing. Other areas of the South, like Jackson, Mississippi, weren't so lucky. Mobs of protesters brought huge speakers to the sidewalks and streets outside their Pepto-Bismol Pink clinic, known affectionately as the Pink House. Their protesters, who called what they were doing church, regularly blocked traffic and could be heard several blocks away. They were also very litigious. Legal filings between the protesters and the city government and the Pink House went back and forth. Shreveport didn't have it as bad as Jackson, but it still wasn't good. And while getting into specifics isn't terribly fruitful now, as with the recent overturning of Roe v. Wade, neither Hope Medical Group in Shreveport nor the Pink House in Jackson are open anymore. But what I saw there, what I experienced there, still matters and still sits with me when I'm here, when I listen to the news, when I'm parenting my 3 kids, when I'm pursuing my divinity degree. The nearest abortion clinic to Shreveport now is 5 hours away in Memphis, Tennessee, which only provides the procedure up to 6 weeks. A lot of people don't even know they're pregnant at 6 weeks, so I'm not sure how much good that does. The next closest option is Kansas City, about a 9-hour drive one way. Louisiana is now the most isolated state in the country for abortion care, a state with some of the highest poverty rates, highest maternal mortality rates, and the poorest access to birth control. What could go wrong? Anti-choice protesters often call their work a ministry. It's horrific and also humorous because they lie so much. I won't dwell on this too long, but I've been told that everyone regrets their abortion, that abortions lead to breast cancer and infertility, and that abortions are dangerous. So real quickly, none of those things are true. First, more than 95% of people do not regret their abortions. The most reported feeling regarding an abortion is relief. Second, there is absolutely no medical evidence that abortion causes an increase in breast cancer or infertility. And third, abortions are safe, at least 14 times safer than childbirth in America. I've also been told all about how the Bible and Jesus are against abortion. Again, not true, but also we don't live in a theocracy. No one interpretation of religion is supposed to dictate our laws. Anyways, anti-choice ministry is lies. Lies and tactics that rely on deception. I just finished a Bible class with my school, and I can't say that I found that we love our neighbor with lies and deception, but maybe I'll get to that next year. So why did I go to seminary? On my best day, I am a grumpy agnostic. I have a horrible potty mouth. I'd venture to say that anyone who knew me growing up would never guess that I'd grow up to be a minister of any religion. But I do love my church work, and I do love the work I did as a clinic escort. So often, too often, the only voices of faith people hear about abortion are those who oppose it. They're on the sidewalks and the television, they're in the pulpits and in the government. But I can tell you that people screaming nonsense do not own ministry or religion or faith or Jesus or the Bible. They do not own morality, but they are loud. And I want to be louder and smarter. I saw a lot of irresponsible religion outside the clinic. I've experienced it in churches that I've visited and even with people who I love. I joke that people are going to do religion whether I like it or not, right? Since the beginning of time, humans found something in some way to worship and then had, and still have, a lot of wars about it. So if people are going to insist on doing religion, I want to help them do it responsibly. On Friday, a friend suggested I wanted to be a condom for religion, and my answer was yes. I've spent many hours on Saturdays talking to anti-choice protesters. A trick I learned early on was that if I kept the protester engaged in conversation with me, they can't scream at patients. Sure, we talked about abortion sometimes, but we often talked about songs or movies, our favorite restaurants, a book recommendation. We'd look up pulp culture trivia on our phones. Another benefit to these conversations is that I humanized myself to the protesters and any observing children. The chance of violence usually decreases if we can recognize each other's humanity. As Reverend Mark Bellatini, Minister Emeritus for First Unitarian Universalist in Columbus, Ohio, said, "For religion to be significant, it has to provide more than the comforts of community. It also has to provide opportunities for deepening, for what I call spiritual growth, and for the casting down of false images and stereotypes, which hurt us all. A good religion has to open us to the real diversity of our modern world. For our work as liberal religious people is not to be competitive with others and to find ways to supersede others, but rather to find ways to supersede ourselves and to grow beyond our limitations and our constrictive boundaries, each and every one of us. Whether it's abortion or some other hot topic, you know how hard it is to keep humanizing the other side, to have civil conversations with those who attack what we believe to be some of the most basic human rights. It's hard. It can even feel like a betrayal to engage in innocuous conversations with the enemy, but it's important. Just as no side owns morality or faith, no side owns humanity either. No side owns love. Our Unitarian Universalist principles call on the inherent worth and dignity of every person, of a world community, the interdependent web. That's all of us, not just those who agree with us. And that is absolutely something I struggle with when I am not at my most optimistic. As a seminary student, I have fallen in love with Unitarian and Universalist history. I realize all those words are very long and very similar, but I assure you that they are distinctly different and I will not bore you with addressing the differences today. But I will phrase it in that way because the UU history nerd in me demands it. The very earliest of our religious ancestors demanded practical and rational thought in religion. If, as we learn more, these convoluted ideas and traditions don't hold up, we have a moral obligation to abandon them and move on, to progress. Our early Unitarian ancestors actually wanted to get back to what some of them called pure religion, to strip all the human-made stuff and just be ourselves with God, with the universe. No bureaucracy, no requirements, no creeds. Pure, practical, rational. Our tradition has a long and rich history of making it make sense. In 1820, Reverend William Ellery Channing, often credited as the father of American Unitarianism, wrote, "However disordered human affairs seem to be, society is becoming more enlightened, and there is a growing demand for a form of religion which will agree with the clear dictates of conscience and the plain manifestations which the universe makes of God. And a rational form of religion cannot support itself against the advances of intelligence." I know it doesn't always feel that way, but the loudest among us are not necessarily the majority. The vote in Kansas to keep abortion legal just showed us that. I have to believe that even 200 years later, that what Reverend Channing said is true. Irrational religion is not going to stand up to the test of time. Our questions, our rational minds, our open hearts, our ministries of love and justice will bring us into the future. So thank you, First Unitarian, for this opportunity to share some of my story. I appreciate everyone's time and attention this Sunday morning. My prayers to you for a beautiful, restful, and empowered week. Blessed be. Amen. Ashe.
Thank you, Melissa. I'm really glad you're here. I want to slip in something that wasn't planned. I don't know if you have met our Minister Emeritus, Ron Knapp, and his wife, Ann. They're back there. Wave to us, Ron and Ann. But I understand that Ron was one of the first and a long-time escort at Planned Parenthood on Dodge when it was so hard with the traffic there. He was an escort for a long time, so you'll have to get to know him. That's for you, Ron, and for Ann. All right, our last hymn, and we have under the COVID guidelines been allowed to actually sing the words. If you have a mask, you can keep it up. Let It Be a Dance, page 311, 311. Now, I want to say, this song is by Rick Maston. In the 1970s, Rick toured Unitarian Universalist churches and perhaps other places as well, and I was here. And when he sang Let It Be a Dance, we had to get up and dance. Now, I'm not going to force you or twist your arm or anything, but you can sing this song sitting or standing, swaying or dancing, whatever you would like.
Thank you.
I'm going to make some announcements, and this first one's going to be kind of personal. I feel very invested in and very committed to the program that Judy is going to give next Sunday. It's next Sunday already, Judy. Did you know that? She's giving a concert, including her original music, in this sanctuary. Musical program, Stand Up, a concert for reproductive justice. The proceeds to benefit Nebraska Abortion Resources. Is that where checks should be made? Nebraska Abortion Resources. Checks can be made there. They will. You can also give a check when you come to the concert or ahead of time, especially like me, when I'm disappointed I'm going to be out of town, so I had to act ahead of time. So anyhow, next Sunday afternoon, and in a few minutes, in just a couple minutes, Judy's going to be performing her original music from that. And then, in connection with the same issue, your Board of Trustees is beginning the process that, per our bylaws, would enable the congregation to take a public stand on reproductive justice, including abortion access. It starts with a special congregational meeting, and then, if green-lit, a membership vote by mailed ballot. Come to worship on August 28th, that's next Sunday, to hear more about this issue, the position we could take as a congregation, and why it matters. And then also mark your calendar for September 25th, when, if this process goes through, the board will hold a special congregational meeting here in the church after church on this issue. And the last item, you are all invited to join us for conversation and coffee hour in the common room downstairs immediately following the service. And I understand that some people like to get their coffee in it to go. I think those cups are available, and you can go out and sit in our beautiful garden on this beautiful day.
Our closing words are from Andrew Pikula. There are miles behind you and many more ahead. As you journey on toward wholeness, may all that is good and true guide your way. May the joy of love lighten every step, and the miracle that is life be ever in your sight.
I wrote this song in September when Texas decided to start putting a bounty on the heads of anybody helping or seeking reproductive health. And William Miller, our choir director here at First U, texted me on that fateful day when they overturned Roe v. Wade. I was in Paris, and we called each other, we cried together, and I added this verse at the end. This is called Stand Up. Well, you tried to give me something when I was only 15. A full part of yourself that I didn't really want it all, and you gave it to me anyway without even asking, please. Now I'm in this predicament with the seed of your sin, and they're telling me that's tough. It's just the state I'm now in. I'm a working single mother just trying to get a break. No family here to help me. I don't know how much more that I can take. And you say it's just too bad if I fool around for fun and get caught. 'Cause that's just how it is for women. That's just your lot as the man walks off into the sunset unscathed. We're gonna stand up, not gonna take this anymore. I'm gonna stand up even if they call me a whore. Stand up, use your voice and be proud. Stand up, say it strong and say it loud. Not gonna take this anymore. Now they're trying to change the laws, turn the clock back to the Victorian age, sticking us all in corsets, make us into sex slaves, trying to squash our feminine power. I guess they are afraid, 'cause we are all too powerful, and we are here to say we're gonna stand up, not gonna take this anymore. Stand up, even if they call us whores. Stand up, use your voice and be proud. Stand up, say it strong and say it loud. Not gonna take this anymore. Now there's a $10,000 bounty for me just trying to survive. Anyone can turn me in as long as they have a pulse and are alive. And what about the sperm? What penalty lies there? Looks like another pass for him, and the politicians don't seem to care. You think if we are pretty you can tell us what to do? Wait, you try to tell me when I'm not even in the room of your laws and your books and your boy club things. You say you're pro-life, well honey, I'm just trying to live. We're gonna stand up, not gonna take this anymore. Stand up even when they call you a whore. Stand up, use your voice and be proud. Stand up, say it strong and say it loud. Not gonna take this anymore. Now 6 SCOTUS judges think they can tell us what to do. Well, I say, well, screw them. Most of them don't even have a uterus. And to Amy Coney Barrett, girl, I just want to say, what happened to you to make you behave this way? I mean, you a misogynist with a vagina, really? We're gonna stand up, not gonna take this anymore. Stand up even when they call you a whore. Stand up, use your voice and be proud. Stand up, say it strong and say it loud. Not gonna take this anymore. Not gonna take this anymore. No, I'm not gonna take this anymore. Stand up.
Thanks for coming. Come back next week. Casey, come on back next week.